You noticed it once, not in words, but in the delay before she smiled, a pause too precise, as if the truth knocked, and she bolted the door from inside. You didn't question it. You called it mystery, charm, maybe instinct, but something inside you recoiled, not in fear, but in recognition, because you've done it too. There is a face she wears when no one is watching, and even she avoids the mirror when it slips. It's not the lie she tells you that matters. It's the one she tells herself, the one she must rehearse every morning in the silence between thought and action. You felt it in the way she listens only to speak, the way her laughter lands like a blade turned inward. Not every betrayal is loud. Sometimes it hums in silk, sometimes it kneels before you, eyes wide, offering truth so sweet it tastes like poison. And you take it, because the mask is beautiful, because you need her to lie, because if she didn't, you would see yourself. And that is the one thing neither of you can survive. You think you saw her, that flicker behind her eyes, the half second where something didn't align. It wasn't a betrayal yet, only the outline of one, like the shadow cast before the storm arrives. She said everything right. Her lips moved with elegance, and the melody of her voice folded perfectly into the air. But something cracked, not loud enough to break the room, just enough to fracture your certainty. You told yourself it was nothing, but you remember, because that was the first moment you glimpsed her reflection, not as she offered it, but as it trembled before she sculpted it. She lies first to herself, always. That is the ritual, not out of malice, but out of survival. Because long before she deceives the world, she must erase the part of herself that remembers the cost. She stands before the mirror and smooths the mask, not to manipulate you, but to silence herself. The truth is too loud in its raw form. It shows her what she gave away, what she became, what she buried. So she wraps it in silk and scent and smiles. The mirror cracks, but she does not flinch, because she must believe the mask is real before she can offer it to you. And you saw the fracture, but you wanted the lie, because the lie is beautiful. The truth is not. The truth is her rage, her hunger, her cunning. You say you want honesty, but you desire obedience. You crave the performance that flatters your myth. You look for softness, not strength. So she gives you softness, but it's painted over steel. The kind of steel forged in centuries of being watched, judged, owned. She learned not to break the mirror, but to charm it. You meet her on the stage, not in the wilderness. You know her as the role, not the soul. And when she hesitates, when the role begins to decay, you panic, because the woman you loved is not the woman she is. She knows this. That's why she rehearses. The lie is not to trick you. It is to preserve the space where you both can pretend. Because if she shatters it, she loses the only power she has, your gaze. You look at her for meaning, for confirmation, for something sacred in the feminine. You are not searching for her. You are searching for a reflection of yourself, the noble one, the protector, the chosen. She is the altar you kneel before to validate your illusion, and she plays it well, but she cannot play it forever. One day, the mask slips, and you do not recognize her. You call her false, you call her cruel, you call her manipulative, but it was you who needed the lie, you who rewarded it, you who demanded a goddess in chains and flinched when she bit through the iron. She told herself she loved you. Perhaps she did. But love is not the absence of performance. Love is the stage where we perfect it. She wore the costume for you not because she is weak, but because she is precise, because she knows what earns affection, what earns security, What earns survival? To be truly seen is dangerous. To be adored is safer, and so she chooses adoration. She edits herself. She deletes the scenes where she roars, and you thank her for it. You call her kind. You call her intuitive, but she is not intuitive. She is strategic. She reads you not with magic, but with memory, the memory of women before her who were punished for truth. Every smile is a negotiation. Every silence is a calculation. You think she is open, but she is layered, folded like a secret letter, addressed to no one, rewritten 1,000 times. You do not receive the original. You receive the draft designed to keep you. And when she finally speaks from that buried place, raw and unscripted, you recoil because you didn't want her. You wanted her mask. You wonder when she changed. She didn't. You only started looking. You only started listening. And the mirror, that mirror she stands before each morning, it began to reflect not her lies, but your demands. She smiles a little longer than necessary. She says what she thinks you need to hear. She hides the part of her that might burn the room down. And you think this is femininity. No, this is exhaustion. This is precision. This is learned protection. You asked for love, and she gave you a performance. Not because she does not feel, but because feeling is not enough. Feeling does not guarantee safety. Performance does. And so she performs. But the mirror always remembers. It reflects what you refuse to see. That she is not yours. That she is not the mask. That she could walk away and become something you do not recognize. And that possibility terrifies you. So you call her unstable. You say she is emotional. You label the dissonance as madness. But it is not madness. It is the residue of adaptation. She is adapting to your blindness, to your hunger, to your myth. And when she finally breaks the mirror, not gently, but with rage, you see her, not as you imagined, but as she is, wild, sacred, unapologetic, and you hate it. You think she betrayed you. No, she simply stopped lying. She stopped rehearsing. She stepped off the stage. And now the silence between you is not her fault. It is your fear echoing back at you. Because the woman you loved never existed. She was your reflection. And now that she is gone, you must face the truth. You asked her to be honest. But honesty without a role is chaos. You asked her to be real. But reality without illusion is war. And now you see the battlefield not outside her, but inside yourself. She never lied to you first. You lied to yourself about what you wanted, what you could hold, what you deserved. And when the mirror finally shattered, it was not her you saw. It was you. She doesn't answer right away. That pause you ignore, it's not hesitation, it's calculation. Not because she's cruel, but because she's been here before. The wrong word, the wrong tone. The moment a truth slips between her teeth and the room turns cold. She learned not to speak first. She learned that silence softens danger. That stillness can survive what honesty cannot. So she listens longer than necessary. She nods even when she disagrees. She smooths the hem of her sentence before letting it walk into your world. And you call this grace, you call it charm, but it is armor. Every sentence she speaks has been polished against the sharp edge of your expectations. You think she's passive, you think she yields, but behind her silence is 1,000 rehearsals of what she cannot say. Not yet, not here, maybe never. She does not lie to you in words, she lies in omissions. A breath she holds instead of breaking. A truth she swallows so you won't taste her defiance. The dress you love, the soft words, the gentle gaze. The way she steps aside, it's sown from centuries of being told that silence is survival, that volume is violence, that her truth is too much, too loud, too raw. So she folds herself into smaller shapes. and you applaud the fit. When she tells you she's fine, you believe her, but the word fine is a veil. Behind it is a riot, a ritual, a fury braided into quiet rituals, combing her hair before speaking, lowering her eyes before truth, wrapping vulnerability in laughter. The lie is never wild, it is graceful. It enters softly. She does not scream, she simmers. And the silence she offers you, it is not peace. It is the sound of her holding back the storm you told her you couldn't weather. And when you tell her you want the truth, you mean you want it on your terms. You want it gently. You want it wrapped in apology. You want it with her head tilted, not held high. Because if she told you everything, if she stripped off the dress of silence, your world would split. She knows this. That's why she performs. She doesn't do it for herself. She does it for the architecture of the illusion you both agreed to live in. And you reward her for every lie that flatters you. You punish every truth that doesn't. There is a hierarchy of emotions you are willing to accept from her. Joy, yes. Gratitude, certainly. Sadness, if it's quiet. But anger, no. Not her. She must be the balm, not the blade. And so she learns to wear pain as politeness. She learns to fold her fury into compliance. And you mistake her stillness for softness. But she is not soft. She is restrained. There is a difference. You just don't want to feel it. What you call deception is just the tax she pays to be safe. What you call mystery is the cost of not being allowed to speak plainly. You asked her for honesty, but only if it doesn't disrupt your throne. You asked her for connection, but only if she disappears a little more each time she loves you. And she agrees, not because she doesn't know better, but because she knows what happens to women who refuse. They are exiled, dismissed, rewritten as cold, angry, unstable. The truth, when spoken by her, is always received as excess, too emotional, too dramatic, too much. So she learns to deliver it like a prayer, or not at all. She lies with gestures, with edits, with silence. She lies the way a rose lies blooming without revealing the roots. You think you know her, but you only know what she has curated for your comfort. You do not know her rituals of restraint. You do not see her pause before every reply, calculating whether this moment is safe enough for truth. She doesn't lie because she's deceitful. She lies because it is the only way to survive your admiration. You say you want her essence, but what you crave is her elegance. You want the dress, not the body beneath it, the story, not the scar. You want her to be wild, but only in ways that entertain you, not in ways that challenge you, not in ways that disassemble the myth you've built around your own masculinity. She understands this. That's why her defiance is silent. That's why her betrayal begins as self-erasure. She disappears piece by piece until all that remains is the version of her you find acceptable. And you love her for it. But what happens when she stops, when she refuses to mute herself, when her silence shatters and the voice beneath it rises? What happens when she no longer translates her suffering into a performance? You call her changed. You say she's difficult now, that she used to be sweet. But she was never sweet. She was silent. She was rehearsed. She was cautious. And now she's not. Now she names things. Now she tells you what she swallowed. Now she wears the dress inside out. And you see the stitching, every wound disguised as design. She doesn't want revenge. She wants recognition, not for who she pretended to be, but for who she buried to please you. And when she lies now, it is not for your comfort, it is for her own peace. Because some truths aren't worth offering to someone who only receives beauty. Some truths are safer when kept sacred. And so, once again, she is silent. But this time, It's not a performance, it's protection. You cannot reach her anymore, because now she's lying in a different way. She's letting you believe you still know her, and you do not. You never did. You knew her silhouette. You knew the version of her that flattered your reflection. But the woman behind the silence, she was never yours. She watched you praise her mask. She watched you shrink when she spoke from her soul. And now she understands to be loved by you. She must disappear. So she disappears, but not because she is weak. She disappears because she refuses to make herself small enough to fit inside your myth. And that is the final silence. Not the one she gives you, but the one you gave her. When you chose the lie. When you called it love. She smiles as if nothing has changed. As if the game still matters. As if your questions have answers that are not already rehearsed, folded and fed to you like crumbs scattered on silk. You believe the smile. You have to, because if it cracked, even slightly, it would reveal what you already suspect, that she no longer believes the script, that the story you cling to is one she's already rewritten in secret. She smiles, not to invite you in, but to keep you out. That smile is not trust. It is distance, precision, restraint. You think it means peace, but it is the final veil before the knife. You wanted her tender, you wanted her sweet, and she gave you sweetness, but not from the heart, from strategy. You thought it was affection. It was a warning. Because she knows what happens when women reveal the blade too soon. You leave, you retaliate, you label, so she laughs instead. She leans in, she offers softness, not because it's honest, but because it buys her time. Every smile is a negotiation, every gaze a map of how far she can go before you recoil. She knows the knife you carry too, the one behind your compliments, behind you're not like other girls. Behind your hunger for the woman who disappears as you devour her. You never asked her to be real. You asked her to be desirable. And to be desirable is to know when to bleed and when to laugh through the pain. You told her you wanted truth, but what you meant was vulnerability you could control. And so she gave it to you in doses, in decorum, never in full. She became fluent in half-truths. The way she framed her day, the way she described old lovers, the way she downplayed her rage. You didn't ask for censorship, but you punished honesty. Not always with words, sometimes with silence, withdrawal, or that look in your eyes that says, "This is too much." And so she adjusted, not for love, but for leverage. Because if she could keep you comfortable, she could keep you close. And close meant safety. Not affection, not admiration, just safety. The knife she carries is not revenge, it's memory. Of every moment she made herself smaller so you could feel big. Of every time she was told, don't overreact, when her instincts screamed otherwise. Of every time she watched a woman be destroyed for saying aloud what everyone already knew. The knife is not a threat. It is a talisman. She doesn't want to use it. She just wants you to know it's there. You think she's overthinking. You think she's dramatic. You think she's built an entire architecture around a simple lie. But what you don't see, what you refuse to see, is that you live in a world built on her suppression. The smile she gives you was not born. It was beaten into shape. By history, by myth, by the way you flinch when she speaks too clearly. You don't want the real her. You want the symbol, the muse, the echo of your own ego played in a higher octave. When she turns quiet in the middle of a sentence, you think she's distracted. She's not. She's calculating the emotional cost of continuing. Every word she speaks is an investment. Every sentence, a risk assessment. You want her to open up, but you punish every revelation that disturbs your comfort. So now she performs openness, and you thank her for her vulnerability, but she is not vulnerable. She is disciplined. Her truth is not on the table. Her performance of truth is, and you never learned the difference. She lies beautifully, and you call it trust. She adapts quickly, and you call it intimacy. She tells you half the story, the half that flatters you, the half you can survive, and you call it love. But it is not love, it is negotiation. The kind of negotiation that happens in the silence between words, the glance before confession, the laugh after an insult that should have been a war cry. She forgives you before you ask, because if she waits for accountability, she'll be waiting forever. The most dangerous part, she doesn't even resent you. She has learned that resentment is a luxury afforded to those who believe change is possible. She no longer believes. She has moved on inside herself, while her body remains beside you. You think she's yours, but you belong to a memory she already abandoned. She still makes your coffee. She still texts back. She still smiles. But the part of her that ever wanted to be seen by you gone. You missed it. The moment the mask became a wall. The moment the silence turned from survival to separation. You thought the lie was temporary, that one day she would open, but the lie is now the language. It's fluent. It's habitual. It's the only way to remain in a world that rewards her silence more than her soul. She doesn't lie to hurt you. She lies to preserve the part of herself you would destroy if you ever saw it naked. There is no longer a question of whether she will leave. She already has. Emotionally, spiritually, symbolically. What remains is the ghost, the echo of her effort, the final threads of her former desire to be understood. Now she watches you with eyes that used to seek validation. They seek nothing now. She has seen what you do with the truth, and she will not offer it again. You ask, "Are you okay?" She says, "I'm fine." You say, "I just want to understand you." She nods. But what she knows, and you do not, is that understanding is not something you truly want. What you want is compliance. You want access, not insight. You want the illusion of closeness without the sacrifice of control. And she has learned to give you just enough to make you believe you've arrived without ever opening the door. You think this is cold. You think she is broken, but she is not broken. She is protected. There is a difference. Brokenness bleeds. Protection hardens. She is no longer bleeding. She has sealed the wound. Not with your comfort, but with her own clarity. And clarity is not soft. It does not seek approval. It does not explain itself. It simply is. Her smile remains, but now it is sharp. It knows where you keep your softness. It knows how to disarm you, but it no longer needs to. She no longer needs you to see her. She no longer needs to be chosen. The lie that once held her hostage, the need to be loved by someone who never truly looked, has died, quietly, without ceremony. And now she smiles, because the game is over, because the knife is hers, not to use, but to carry, as a memory, as a mirror, as a final word unspoken. And you still believe in the smile, because you must, because without it, you would have to face what she already has, that the love you gave her was never for her. It was for the version of her that never existed. And now, finally, she knows it, and that is the knife. There is no scream, only stillness, the kind that follows not death, but awakening. A kind of awakening that no longer reaches for light, only turns its face away from the stage. She walks past you without malice, not because she forgives, but because you no longer hold the power to wound. Her silence is not a wound, it is a burial. You were not the audience, you were the costume. And now, the theater is empty. You do not know if she weeps when she is alone. You do not know if she remembers the softness. You only know the mask is gone and she never turns back. There is a dress folded in the corner. There is a mirror cracked where she used to stand. There is a smile in your memory that no longer fits her face. And in that silence, something flickers, not her voice, not her scent, only the absence of your reflection in a mirror that never belonged to you.